Welcome back, welcome back. So, you can probably guess from the title that I'm going to tell you today why motivation is absolutely useless when it comes to fat loss or physique transformations. Now, that might be quite surprising to quite a few years because everyone thinks that if you lose motivation, you fall off and all the rest of it. But if you do the things that I'm going to tell you in this video, then believe me, motivation will be a thing of the past and it's going to be a non-issue. My name's John. I'm an online transformation coach. I've helped over 100 people transform their lives in the last 2.5 years. I specialize in taking people who relied on motivation for years, get stuck in the cycle of starting and stopping again, and taking them to a point where they stick to the plan no matter what happens in their life. That is what I specialize in. And when it comes to motivation, the thing that we need to understand first of all is that it is just a feeling. That's all it is. Now, if you rely on your feelings all the time, your life will go to shit pretty quickly. So to make sure that we don't rely on motivation, which by the way, motivation isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's good on the days where you do feel motivated. It's great. You feel amazing. Everything gets done in a really good way. But the problem is that we're never going to be motivated every single day. Just in the same way that we're never going to feel happy every single day. We're also never going to feel sad every single day. So we need to make sure that we have a structure and a plan that we can fit to regardless of how motivated we feel. So the first thing again that we need to do is remind ourselves that motivation is just a feeling. And the very first thing that we need to do before we start any sort of big physique goal or fat loss phase is you need to ask yourself why you're doing it. Because if you can ask yourself why you're doing it and you don't have an answer, you need to stop this video right now, pause it, get a notepad and pen, sit down for as long as it takes and actually ask yourself why you're doing it. And ask yourself this series of questions. So for an example, what gets fixed in your life when you achieve the goal that you're saying you want to achieve? Okay, so if it's fat loss, right? Right, when you lose 20 kilos, 10 kilos, what gets fixed in your life once you've done that? Is it that you feel more confident? Is it that you feel healthier? Is it that you've proven to yourself you can stick to something more difficult? Whatever your answer might be. From there, what gets fixed in your life when that happens? So when you're more confident, what gets fixed in your life? Well, when I'm more confident, I'm going to be able to, go and speak to more people and live my life without worrying about what people think. Okay, cool. When you don't worry about what people think and you're able to communicate with people better and more confidently, what gets fixed in your life then? Well, I'm going to build better relationships. What happens when you build better relationships? Well, when I build better relationships, I'm going to be able to have somebody there that I can, spend my life with, or I can, have a partner, or I can have really good friends. Okay, cool. What's going to happen then? Well, I'm not going to be lonely. Boom, there you go. There's your fucking reason. It's the fact that you currently don't want to be lonely or you want to be spending your time with people that you actually value and enjoy spending time with. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that goal. That is a really strong reason why. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's really important for you to understand that so that you can make sure that when motivation dips, because it will, you have a reason to stick to the goal. And you need to be able to remind yourself along the way why you can stick to it. Okay? So that's the very first thing that you need to do. Now, when it comes to motivation, the thing that we also need to understand is that yes, motivation will be higher at the start, but action also creates motivation. So action is the very first thing that we need to do, as in starting the calorie deficit, starting with the training, starting with the consistency. Then when you start to see the results, you're then going to start to feel way more motivated. When you feel more motivated, that is going to start to create even more action. When you start to take more action, you're then going to start to be more motivated, and that's ultimately the way that it works. It always starts with action, and the issue is everybody waits to feel motivated before they start, but you have to start with action, which will then lead to you being more motivated. Now again, that will still dip, but the other thing that we also need to make sure that we do is understand that if you are someone right now who's not being consistent with your training or your nutrition, or you've not really looked after yourself too much, or you're not too confident, you are going to have to go through what's called an identity shift. Right now, you have a belief of yourself, of the way that you see yourself, of the actions that you take, of the sort of person that you are. And if that has been the sort of person for the last couple of years that doesn't really positively impact your life, or you don't feel great about yourself, you're not feeling too confident, you're going to have to start seeing yourself in a different way. And that's a really, really difficult thing for a lot of people to grasp. But to be able to stick to these results, you are going to have to go through that identity shift. And the only way that we can go through that identity shift is by starting to change the actions that we take in a day-to-day and stacking up small wins. So every single time that you have an option to, let's say for an example, you can either go to the gym or you can sit on the sofa and you can watch Netflix for the evening and eat a bag of crisps, right? If you are the sort of person that then decides, because it is a choice, by the way, that then decides to make that choice of sitting on the sofa, you are then telling your subconscious, you are telling yourself that you are a lazy person who doesn't really care that much about the goals. Whether you are or whether you're not, you are telling yourself that, which means that down the line, when you get more unmotivated again, you are way more likely to just fuck the whole thing off because you tell yourself on a consistent basis that you are just the sort of person that is unmotivated and doesn't follow through on the things that they say. That is just the way that it works, and that's why people self-sabotage so often. So it's really important, again, that you have a strong reason why, because when you remember your reason why you actually want to do this, and you have that choice between sitting on the sofa or going to the gym, the choice between ordering the pizza or eating your meal prep, you'll make the right choices if the why is strong enough. If you really don't want to be lonely, for an example, if you really want to be more confident, if you really want to look better so that you can communicate with people better, get a better job, whatever that might be, it's really important to make sure that reason actually means something to you, because when you remember that, you will make the better choices. Because as I said, you've got choice A and choice B. Choice A will always take you towards your goal, and choice B will always take you away from it. And we need to make sure that we have a reason strong enough so that you always pick choice A. And when we start stacking up these smaller wins, when we start making those smaller choices, so you've got the pizza and you've got the meal prep, and you start choosing the meal prep, when you start choosing the gym over the sofa, when you start doing all these things, when you start doing your steps, when you start doing your meal prep on a Sunday, whatever it might be, you start stacking up all these smaller wins and you start proving to yourself that you can actually do the stuff that is required to get there. And when you prove to yourself that you can do the things that are required to get there, it will make things so much more achievable for you. You will actually start to have belief that you will get there, but you can only get through that initial phase by doing the right things. Great example right now, I'm obviously focusing heavily on growing my business. It's a Saturday, it's 1:45. I would much rather be out with my girlfriend on a walk right now. It's sunny. It's like one of the sunniest days that we've had all year in the UK. It's like 23 degrees outside, Celsius. If you're American, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's a very sunny day in UK terms today. I would much rather be out right now with my mates, having food, out with my girlfriend, but she's gone out with her friends and I'm sat here. I've recorded 4 YouTube videos today now. And I've proven to myself that I am willing to do the things that are required to grow my business. And this is why it's so important to take those small wins. I had the option of just going sitting on the sofa downstairs or sitting sunbathing, going out and getting a pizza or whatever it might be today. But instead, I'm sat in an office and I'm recording YouTube videos because I actually give a fuck about the goal. I actually want to achieve what I say that I want to achieve. And this is ultimately where you need to understand that discipline is built and it's not found. You don't just magically discover discipline. You have to just start to do the things that you need to do even when you don't feel like doing them. And if the reason why is strong enough, you will stick to them. I can promise you that. So make sure that the very first thing that you do is you have a strong reason why. And once you start to prove yourself you can do that, you will then see yourself as a more disciplined person. And that is how discipline is built. So if you're watching this and you're someone, again, who's been waiting for the right time, do not just wait for the right time. You have to just take action first, because action breeds motivation. And if you want that little kickstart and you want some guidance on how to actually start with your fitness and physique goals, I'm going to put a link below to the first 4 weeks that I would take every single one of my clients through. There is no obligations, there's no contracts, there's no risk involved with this. You're not going to be necessarily dealing with me directly, although you can ask me questions if you would like to. It's just going to take you through how to do your assessment week, how to set up your nutrition, how to do your training, and how to actually get kick-started with your goals. And it's completely free of charge. There's no contract, there's no sales pitch coming at the end of it. Just go and sign up to that. And if you decide that you absolutely hate it after 24 hours, whatever, any point during the first 4 weeks, you can literally just unsubscribe and cancel it. So that will take you through the very first 4 weeks and get you kick-started on your goals. Okay, as always, if any of you have any questions on anything in this video, please throw a comment in the bottom or go and follow my Instagram. The link will be in the description, and shoot me a DM anytime you need to. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.